Hi everyone, I'm going to show you some different tips and strategies that you can use to help your ESL or your emergent bilingual learners to be successful in your classroom. The first thing that I want to show you is what you can use in Google Docs. If you have a worksheet or if you have some information and it's in Google Docs, you can easily translate that into any other language that you need. So if you have a student who primarily speaks Vietnamese, you can change it to Vietnamese. If you have a student who primarily speaks Spanish, you can change it to Spanish. Because remember, you as a content teacher are not in charge of or responsible for teaching your students English. You can help them in this, but you have to teach them the content in whatever way you can. So I'm hoping that these strategies and these tips will help you do that. So if you are in a Google Doc, all you have to do is go to Tools, Translate Document. You can do, I'm going to go ahead and do this in Spanish. So you can change the title of it to that. Choose your language that you're going to translate it into. And then you're going to click Translate. Takes a minute. And now you have a whole different copy of it in that student's native language. So you can print this out, you can share it with them on Google Classroom, whatever you need to do, but it's now in their language. So that's in Google Docs. I want to show you something that we have now added to Google Slides, because if you go to Tools, unfortunately, there's not an option to translate the document yet. I'm telling Google that they need to do that, and you should too. But what we have added to every single student and teacher's Google Slides extensions is going to be Slides Translator. This one doesn't work as well, so use Slides Translator. You'll hover over it and you will say Translate. Then it will pop up over here on the right side of your screen. You have 10 more translations to use, but this renews every single day, so you're good. I don't want it to translate it to English. It's already in English. So I'm going to select the language that I want it in. I'm going to go ahead and select Spanish up here somewhere. Yes. Select Spanish. I want to translate all slides, and actually I'm going to turn this on to where it translates images. Translate all slides. Tell you to be patient. Takes a little bit because it has to go through and search everything. Just making sure there wasn't anything else there. It's that awkward time where you're just waiting. We're going to come back and check on this. I also wanted to show you what it looks like on the students' iPads. So these students that are emergent bilingual all have iPads, and in just a minute I'm going to show you what they can do with those iPads. But it has now translated it to Spanish. So if I click on this slide, everything is translated. Click here. You do have to double check. This was H2O for water, so I would go back in and I would change this to still be H2O. So you might want to check it before you actually give it to those students. These have been messed up a little bit, but the majority of it is fine because it is translated into Spanish for you, or whatever language it is that you needed. Okay, so that is Slides Translator. So now let's look at what your students see on their iPads. When they have their iPads, they need to go to Google Translate. Every single one of your students who has been given an iPad from the school has Google Translate on their iPad. So they'll go to Google Translate. This is what they will see. I can't see a whole lot. I can't show you exactly what it does because it's tied to my phone, and when I push this camera button, it turns it all off. But make sure that they are going from, if they are looking at something in English and they need it in Spanish, or they need it in Vietnamese, you can change this to whatever it is that you need it in. They have English to Spanish. They will click this camera, push this camera button, and their camera pops up. they can then hold that iPad over their worksheet, over their notes, over that activity, and it will translate for them. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I had this printed out, and I used my phone, my phone, which is the same app as the iPad has, and I clicked that camera button and I hovered over that this document, and this is what it looked like. This is the exact screen that it showed. I zoom in, and you can tell it's not perfect, but it is enough for these children, if they can read Spanish or they read their native language, it is enough for them to be able to see this and understand, okay, instead of it saying organization, it says organización. You have all of these different words in Spanish that they can try to pick up on, and it will help them more than just giving it to them in English and they have no idea what's on there at all. Okay, there's another feature that's pretty cool on the iPad. They can click or they can push conversation, and you can actually be sitting with this student, and this is probably better for any level, but especially for your primary and elementary whenever they can't necessarily always read Spanish well yet, but you can push convert conversation, and you can actually have a conversation with them in Spanish or in their native language without you having to know it. So it'll take a little bit, but you can talk and then it'll translate it while you're talking. And then the same thing can happen with that student. I've actually used this, and while it's not perfect, I was actually able to build a relationship with that student and know what those needs were, and to be able to communicate what the content was. So it's a pretty cool little app, and I think that we all need to be able to use it and know how to use it. You'll have to kind of teach your students if they don't know, because some of them may never have seen an iPad in their hands yet. So something like that, you might have to teach them a little bit. I do know our ESL pull-out teachers would be helping them also with this while they're teaching them the English language, but it's just good to know. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to myself, to Ms. Burns at the elementary and primary school, to Ms. Cindy Bertrand, or to your principals, or just your neighboring teacher as well. We're all in this together, and we're ready to help you. Have a fantastic day and a good weekend.